Hey folks, this is Rhykker. I normally just make videos about games, but I saw Rogue One last weekend and I've just been dying to talk about it. But I can't do so on stream because of spoilers. So in this video, I just want to talk about some of the things that bothered me about the movie and how to fix them, and also some things that the movie did really well. Spoilers ahead. So honestly, I was a little concerned when I found out that George Lucas enjoyed Rogue One, since a lot of his ideas were terrible, and it's only thanks to people overruling him 40 years ago that we didn't get some abominable ideas like Han Solo being a green reptile alien, or Yoda being played by a monkey in a mask. But after seeing Rogue One, I was relieved. I enjoyed it. I love the fact that it's a grittier, darker Star Wars movie, but that still got plenty of action and humor. It's really well balanced. I'm not going to say it's the best Star Wars movie, but it's definitely better than all the prequels. And I feel there were some small things that could have been improved upon to make the movie even better. So here's how we fix Rogue One. Number 1, Dad Vader. So that final Darth Vader scene was amazing. Loved it. It was perfect. However, his previous scene, not so much. I really wish that scene didn't even exist. It would only take some small rewrites to omit that scene. There's nothing covered in there that can't be replaced with a line or two of dialogue elsewhere. I feel that final scene would have been even more powerful if we hadn't seen Vader for the entire movie. We would hear people referencing his name, maybe even hear his voice. So he's still foreshadowed. He's still a known and expected entity. But this way, we save up for that final reveal, with the whole movie building up to it. And just as we get to the final minutes, we're all wondering, well, what the hell, are we going to see Darth Vader or not? And then we get the darkness, and we hear the breathing. And it's just like in Jaws, right? The Jaws music, that ominous, terrifying sound cue. And then the red saber lights up, and the scene goes on just as it did, just like a horror movie. Mwah, perfection. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. We got that initial scene. But my problem isn't just that that scene exists. It's also that it's just not a good scene. Vader makes a terrible pun. Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, director. Now, I know people have pointed out that Vader makes puns all the time in the comics and other shit I don't care about, and that he often has like these one-liners, even in the original trilogy. But my issue isn't really that Vader made a pun, it's that he made a bad pun. And I should know, as should you guys, because you see me make bad puns all the time. I just don't put these bad puns in a $200 million movie. Like, the writers are clearly on point for most of the rest of the dialogue. There's so many moments of humor in this movie. Like, are you kidding? I'm blind. Or literally every line of dialogue from K2SO. So for one of Vader's few lines to fall flat, it's just... I didn't expect dad joke levels of cringe, which I guess makes sense for Vader to be making dad jokes. Huh. Also, Vader just sounds different than we remember, and it's because James Earl Jones's voice is 40 years older. So even his non-cringy dialogue just seems off. There's something odd about it. Now, unfortunately, we can't erase that scene. But what we can do is explain it away with headcanon. You see, I think there's a reason that that scene feels off, and in my mind, it's because that entire scene is just Director Krennic's gay fantasy. I mean, think about it. It starts with Darth Vader naked in a tub. When Director Krennic comes to visit, Vader gets dressed. You can imagine him putting his mask on, his helmet, his cape, his arms and legs. Then he goes to see Krennic and immediately opens with some sass, some playful banter, right? You know, Krennic says how he's really busy, and Vader's like, "My apologies. You do have a great many things to explain." Then you get the choking scene, which, you know, might be Krennic's fetish. And the reason Vader's voice sounds off in the scene is because it's all in Krennic's imagination, so, you know, he doesn't know exactly what Vader's voice sounds like. Number 2, Saw Gerrera. So, Forrest Whitaker's character, Saw Gerrera or whatever, just wasn't used well. I mean, first off, I can barely understand what he was saying half the time, but even apart from that, he was just a plot device. An obvious one. His role in the story was clearly just to unite these characters, and once that role was fulfilled, he was just written off in a really dumb way. I just felt they could have done more with this character, and there really was no great effort taken by the other characters to save him or to convince him to at least try to come along. I get that they were pressed for time and they barely made it out alive themselves without having to haul old crippled Darth Vader along with them, but it would have been so much more meaningful, satisfying, and just cool to see him die, say, in that final space battle. At least that would do justice to his character. I mean, he was always faulting the rebels for not fighting. This way he would die with the satisfaction of seeing the rebels finally confront the Empire, rather than die because he decided to hold his ground against a 7 trillion megaton explosion. Number 3. Rebellions are built on nope. When Jin gave that rising speech in front of the Rebel Alliance, parroting back that line, "Rebellions are built on hope," I just cringed. I understand that the writers wanted to give her an arc of someone who doesn't give a shit about the politics of the Empire and the Rebellion, and then seeing her dad die after giving her that final mission, this finally gives her life purpose. But it all happens so fast and just doesn't feel like a very believable arc. She jumps on this mission just way too quick. We needed to see more moments of doubt. Then her quoting that rebellions are built on hope, it just adds an extra layer of cheese to this whole thing. It's also just a dumb line. Rebellions are built on hope. What does that even mean? Rebellions aren't built on hope. They're built on a desire to overthrow the current political regime. They aren't built on hope, they're built on disapproval, on indignation, dissatisfaction, disobedience, resentment. But I guess these all just don't make for a very catchy one-liner. I get that the whole hope theme was meant to lead into the next movie, but it's like she may as well have just said, "Rebellions are built on Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope." A more believable line for her to spout to the Alliance would have been, "We can live for nothing, or die for something."
Live for nothing, or die for something.
No, that was taken already. Okay, so a more believable speech for her to give would be something like, "Look, I didn't give a shit about your Alliance up until recently. I don't care about politics. I was just minding my own business. But then cities start to blow the fuck up. No one is safe. There is no hiding from this. Once the Empire gains absolute power over this system, if you think they won't track down each and every one of you that's been a part of this rebel alliance, you're fucking idiots. This is our only chance before they start blowing up planets that they even suspect might be harboring rebels. So, you're dead either way. But you get to choose whether you die trying to stop all this from happening, and maybe succeeding, or you die a cowardly shit, possibly after weeks of torture. I don't know, something like that. Just with less swearing. Number 4, the Mom McClane Scene. So at the start of the movie, Krennic is about to take away Galen Erso, right? The mom and daughter are off hiding somewhere so that they don't also get caught. Then the mom decides to go all diehard and pulls a yippee-ki-yay, and it's just, what's your endgame here? I understand this is probably the result of being just fed up of Krennic's shit after all these years, but how did she possibly see that ending in a good way? Even in the best case scenario of her killing Krennic, what did she expect the stormtroopers to do? Just be like, "Welp, this is awkward. We're just gonna leave." No matter how you shake it, the mom decided that her daughter was gonna lose 2 parents that day. And in fact, by revealing herself, she gave the Empire incentive to search for the daughter too. I've seen some explanation that the mom thought that the plan was for all 3 of them to escape together, but the dad actually just lied to her so that they could be safe while he turned himself over. Again, I could understand her being so overcome emotionally that she's not thinking rationally and makes a dumb decision, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a dumb decision. And the audience just wasn't given enough time to process and understand the mom's emotional state in order to empathize with her, so it just comes off as silly. What would have worked better is if the mom stayed hiding, and then the stormtroopers were fanning out to search for them, and then when the mom realizes that the stormtroopers are gonna find her and her daughter, she just kind of sneaks off away from her daughter to give her daughter time to, go even further away, hide better. And then we can still have that same scene where she pulls the gun on Krennic and the rest of the thing happens. But at least now, it's happening in a noble, self-sacrificing way rather than just a stupid way. Number 5, Rogue One strengthens the original trilogy. This isn't a complaint, I just want to say some good stuff about the movie. The ending was absolutely amazing. All of Rogue One just strengthens A New Hope and all of Star Wars. It makes the opening of A New Hope so much better because now we know the stakes. We know all the people that died for those plans. While the prequel trilogy in many ways weakened Star Wars, Rogue One is possibly the first movie to strengthen it again. Some people point out there wasn't a lot of characterization in this movie, and while I agree that that's the case with our main protagonists, the movie does actually characterize Tarkin more, Vader more, and even the Rebel Alliance more. We get to see Tarkin's ruthless rise to power, stepping over others, how much of a dick he is. We get to see his journey towards being Grand Moff Tarkin, you know, he's still just, I guess, little Moff Tarkin. Then we have that final Vader scene, right? That does more to make Vader as menacing as he should be than the rest of the movies combined. If you were to see Rogue One before you saw A New Hope, then when you would see Vader in A New Hope, you would have an appropriate level of fear about him. Then we see that the Alliance is shown to be more shades of gray in their morality than we thought, and this just makes them more interesting. Then obviously we have how Rogue One explains why that weakness existed in the Death Star, solving a 40-year-old plot hole. You know, we've all made fun of the Empire for having that huge design flaw in the Death Star, and at least now it makes sense that it was intentional. Rogue One also explains why Vader is so blatantly accusing Princess Leia of being a rebel at the opening of A New Hope. Just go back now and watch that scene.
I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away!
Like, he just saw her ship leave the scene of this battle, and he's been chasing it. And then she's like, we're on a diplomatic mission. It's like, bitch, please. In fact, I think it would have been great if they would have had an after-credits scene, which was just like the first few minutes of A New Hope. Not redone, just the original footage. Number 6, rapid-fire good things. I just want to note some more good things about the movie. Starting with the CGI characters, which I felt were done really well. I initially questioned whether Tarkin was CGI or not. It was only after a little while that I finally got that Uncanny Valley vibe from him and confirmed that he was CGI. In case you don't know how it was done, they found approximate body doubles with similar facial features as Tarkin and Leia. They got these people to play the characters on stage, and then they used some of the world's most advanced CGI to map the CGI faces onto the actors' faces. It was great to see Red Leader and Gold Leader make a cameo, as well as Red 5. You know, we get to see Red 5 die, thus freeing up that call sign for Luke to adopt. The Star Destroyer crashing into the other Star Destroyer was just a visual spectacle. It's kind of poetic how Jyn's nickname is Stardust, and that's what she becomes. I'm really glad that they did not force a romance between Jyn and Cassian. I would have rolled my eyes if they kissed in that final scene on the beach. Krennic dying to his own weapon at the end, seeing it appear in the sky and aim right at him, have the universe's biggest gun pointing right at him, that also was poetic. In many ways, Rogue One is a story about Krennic. I mean, the basic plot of Rogue One is a dude named Krennic has a really bad week at work. Okay, so that wraps up my video. I quite enjoyed the movie, but what about you guys? Did you like Rogue One? Sound off in the comments. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch and Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. Check out these other videos and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders.